using mainly? Using Slack?
Yes, we're using Slack. We're using Google Meet, which is way superior than Google Hangout, and we're using Zoom as well because now that we are over 40, Zoom seems the most stable tool when we are all the company together. So we tend to use Zoom for the company meeting.
Oh, but where does Slack break down? Like, how many people do you get reliably together on Slack?
In fact, I didn't check lately. I know that at the beginning it was like 5 when they launched it, but they probably increased the limit. It's just that I didn't look at that lately, but maybe they handle much more than that now.
Did you see the video on LinkedIn of me dancing with the girl from Zoom?
No, I missed that one.
Oh, we gotta tag you in. Well, I'll tag you in it after the show. It's got like 6,000 views, man.
Wow, great.
I know. She taught me. She's like, we did this little Beyonce dance.
Nice.
Yeah, we were at a conference in Orlando, which is nearby where we live in Florida in the US. And one of our friends from Finland was visiting Varun, and he told us, he's like, hey, come to the conference. So we did, and we brought like our camera crew and everything, and we did some interviews with Intel and Zoom and Twilio, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
So you use Zoom for your mass meetings, right?
Yep. Because I mean, we started 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I think we were probably changing tool every 2 sprints just because we're like, okay, this one is a bit unstable, or this one doesn't support Linux, and because that's also a requirement for us. I was trying to find tool that works well on the 3 OS because developers tend to use different OS as well, and yeah, there's not much of them also that run well on Linux. But yeah, I think the best contender right now is clearly Google Meet. I think they really nailed down something with that. The picture quality is really great, and the sound when we are multiple user together, it's because I mean it's always the brainstorm that are the challenge. When you do a speech to a bunch of people, that's good, but when you try to challenge idea and then people start to talk over other people and so on, that's where it can get a bit funky as well. So yeah, good good challenge.
Yeah, so I haven't heard of Google Meet before. This is the first time I'm hearing about it from you right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, they launched that. I think they introduced that through G Suite, so the enterprise version of Gmail that we're using, and then we got kind of an ads about that, and we enabled that, and I have to say that it's pretty good, pretty solid.
Oh, it's got a beautiful picture on the homepage when I go to Google Meet. That's really nice. Because I love it when the sites have really good photography. You know, it makes it all so much better.
Yeah, and it's kind of it shows what they do really well. I mean, when you share your screen or share just enabling the webcam, it's like really great quality. So without having the sound to break and everything.
So it's interesting. I always think it's cool when these companies, they completely defer from their code base to just do something totally new from the beginning. Like they didn't try to manipulate Hangouts, they just redid it, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. That's how I understand that product clearly, and I mean the result is really there. So I'm like, okay, cool. Finally, they really nail it out.
Yeah. So I was excited to talk to you today because, well, a number of reasons, but one of them was because I came across your product a couple years ago. I have a friend who owns a furniture manufacturing company, and she has her products everywhere, and you were one of the solutions that was what they were looking at for maintaining the product everywhere.
Oh, cool.
Is that's what like the core of your business, right?
Yes, exact. So what we try to do is really streamlining the supply chain between retailer and manufacturer, because these days, let's say you want to open a bicycle shop and sell bicycle online. It's pretty easy. You go on Google, you query, you search for manufacturer. Within 10 minutes, boom, you get 10 manufacturer. But then shortly after, you'll receive their email, and you'll figure out that their product information is in different format and come from different source. Some will have that on FTP, on retailer portal, or they will send you 2 emails per day because everybody wants to stay almost real time with their inventory and price. So that's the first thing we do. We connect people together, the manufacturer and their retailer. So as soon as they update their product information, all their retailer get the information real time. They get a notification. After that, but again, those product lists there's no standard almost on the market, or at least no standard that they're standard, but not followed by a critical mass of people. So we end up with a product list in all different shape and format. And then when you look at Shopify, they expect a specific format. And when you look at Amazon or eBay, they expect totally different format. Nobody respects the same approach there. So we build a transformation engine to help those retailer or sometimes manufacturer to transform their product information to make sure that it becomes compatible with the platform where they want to sell those products. And the third thing that we're doing is also connecting to those integrations. So we have currently integration with Bed Bath & Beyond. We have with Shopify. We have with Amazon and ecommerce, for example. This is the big one that we have currently. So we're always adding more to this. In fact, to really help those manufacturer and retailer to put their Excel spreadsheet aside so far.
Yeah, so it's real exciting with all the growth, right?
Oh yeah, this year is pretty crazy. I mean, started 4 years ago. We were 4. Now we are 45, if not 47. I have I need to still go on Slack and count the number of people from time to time, just to follow up with the growth. We also just signed an office in Vancouver. So the dev team is clearly distributed, but we see a concentration of the sales and marketing mainly in operation as well in Vancouver. So that's where we are.
Because then you can get the energy and build the team feel when you have the sales and marketing in person.
Yeah, I mean, they face the kind of same challenge as development team, meaning that if you ask me my preference, for sure I will say let's bring all the people together and face to face. We're just trying to do that differently, and I mean, it's at the beginning of Venzee that was clearly one of the way to success, because I mean, you need to find people that are there in their life, that want to commit to a startup. It's going to be a lot of hours, it's going to be a shitty paycheck, but you need to believe in that and then say, okay, I'll give a couple months, I'll give a year or 2 years to those guys to make sure that they deliver something on the business side, and then we work as the development team. And then in the end, I mean, we were able to grow a dev team, to build a dev team of really passionate people. And one of my main one of the things that I'm really, really proud is the former developer that joined Venzee 4 years ago are still with us right now. So that helped a lot, when you have the people that can tell all the story behind, the decision that nobody remember. So I still have those guys with me. So it's for me, it's really something I am proud of, because when you start small, if you have to manage all that growth, and after that, if you start having problem with retention, and then you lose knowledge and you need to start again and start hiring, the hiring process takes so much time that I pay a lot of attention to my hiring process, and also to make sure that I keep the folks happy within the team.
So how large is your team today, your development team?
Development team, if you include a QA product, where we are 18, if I recall the right number. So yeah, that include 4 people in the product team and 3 people right now in the QA team as well.
That's exciting. And what language is the base application written in, like the largest part of the application?
But we have a classic front end and back end architecture. So the front end is Angular V1 because that was
You can't upgrade
our
to
best
V2
solution.
easily.
But yeah, exactly. It's not easy to upgrade to V2, and I mean we're not data intensive, if I can put it this way. In terms of UI and our dashboard, it's not a lot of numbers that change multiple times per second. So it's like the speed of Angular V1 fulfill our need right now. So we prefer to concentrate ourselves to add more feature and mainly improve on the UX experience, which is our great challenge. And the backend is Node.js REST API. But one of the big project we have this year is to move more and more to serverless architecture. So we are a big fan of Amazon since the beginning. And we tend to use a lot of their service, and right now that's what we're doing. We're migrating the core feature to serverless in order to improve our scalability capacity.
Well, you have to speak nicely of Bezos and Amazon because now Alexa's listening all the time.
Yeah,
Do you
I
have
agree.
Alexa?
No, I don't have anything like that. I don't know. I'm a little bit old school for that in terms of talking to my device. I'm still not comfortable necessarily, or I don't have the reflex to even, I have a Gear S3 watch, and I don't even think about asking to set a timer. I will still go on my microwave and put the kitchen timer there. So yeah, I'm not. But I had a lot of good feedback. I mean, my brother has one, and he's enjoying that a lot. He got the Google Home, and he's enjoying that a lot. So yeah, I'll probably do the move at some point. No, not yet. It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
It's in the mail. Well, when they start making fun of you for not using Alexa, then you'll have to.
Oh yeah. No, clearly.
You set the kitchen timer. You're so old.
I know.
Hey, I just got my first one like for Christmas, so I haven't been on it forever either. It's been 3 months since I have started using it, and I'll tell you what, Marco, it was very awkward to start talking to the device. Like it was really weird for me.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable now with it.
Yeah, you're comfortable, yeah.
Now I want to do more. I'm like, Alexa, clean my house. Right?
Yes, I wish.
Ubering you a maid. I'm like, what?
At some point,
so
maybe,
cool.
they'll start to connect all those services together at some point.
It will. Isn't the future so great though, Marco?
Oh yes. I mean, it's a great time to be in the tech industry. I feel. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, my story in terms of developer. I was, and that will tell a bit about my age again. But I came on the market as a professional back in 2000. And my first job was Oracle software developer. And then it's super interesting because I was really reluctant to go in the web development at that time. There was also the kind of the aura of, okay, if you're not a good application developer, then you end up as a web developer and so on.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, we were... Also, I was using .NET at that time. It was like 2003, 2004 in those years as well. Started to use .NET and Visual Studio. And I mean, it was so complete altogether that it felt really like going backward to start web development. I would say that these days, it's completely another story. And 4 years ago, when I started Venzee, I had to go back as a developer, and to help because we were four. So I was doing before that more management, you can say. Then I had to teach myself back how to be a web developer, and I discovered the tool. I discovered Angular, I discovered Node and AWS and all their service and how you can connect things together these days, which is just incredible. I mean, I don't know if you do home automation. a little bit,
Yeah.
but I kind of fall into that 2 years ago with a smart thing hub, and started to connect my thing, and I'm doing a little bit of Arduino, Raspberry Pi project. So it's like, oh my God, you can get a REST API available on your Arduino that will enable your lamp on and off, because this lamp is outside of your smart thing project, but you can use your smart thing hub to contact that API that run on your Arduino and then light up that light that is off grid. So it's
Right.
super interesting. It's like my head is always full of projects. It's just that I don't have enough time to to put all them in progress. But yes, I mean, the possibility of the connectivity these days is just incredible. It's not about what you want to do. It's about how much you want to pay or how much time you have to just develop it by yourself. But I mean, it's going crazy.
Yeah. So your story is a true developer to CTO story.
Yes, totally. I started really out from college in 2000. I discovered Scrum in 2001, which was really, really early from a teacher at university. And then started to look at that, and I figured out that, hey, there's a way to, develop software and be happy, and then work as a team on that, and then started on that move after that to Ubisoft. I spent 7 years working there. I worked on a couple of games.
What games did you work on?
Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones was my first one.
Nice.
That was really, really interesting experience. After that, I worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which was the game. I think in 2006, when they released a new movie, there was a game attached to that as well.
Of course.
So yeah.
What about Rainbow Six 3?
No. That's the two game I did. After that, I went more in the what they call the service. So I worked as a director of IT. I worked as a deputy director in the network team as well, and then spent a couple of time as a team manager and product manager to manage all the side product, like the HR product, financial product, the tool that are used within the company. So that's what I did, because to be honest, it's kind of at least during those years, it was challenging to do 3-4 games in a row. There was a lot of crunch and happy weekend to spend there. But yeah, it has been an incredible experience.
I realized. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just to say that it definitely helped shaping me what I am these days as a CTO, because the opportunity to take leadership was pretty incredible.
That's what it's all about, though, right? Like transitioning your roles and learning how to adapt to the next level and gaining those skills.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, you better start doing that when you're comfortable at a day job, when you can see and figure out the evolution, more slowly. Because when you get into the startup world, it's like the same happened but multiplied by 10. I mean, the work I'm doing today versus the work I was doing even just 6 months ago is already different. And if you compare to what I was doing 4 years ago when we got started, oh my God, it has totally changed. And I think that's one of the big challenge. And I won't put that just as a CTO level. I mean, it's any management level. When you start as a startup, I mean, the director of the sales or the chief sales officer or whatever, he will start doing cold call, because he's the first one to join the team. So as a CTO, you need to be hands-on as well. And then the more the team grow, you need to readjust your role, in fact, and make sure you do the right thing.
So what's really interesting is that this whole concept of developer to CTO has only ever existed in humanity the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, no, and that's interesting. That's I didn't dig enough into that, I think, to really understand why. Is it just a matter of before it was just management people with like MBA that was getting that technical role. It was just the role was not existing at all.
Yeah, it just kind of popped up. It just started to exist when technology became more and more a part of our lives. And I'm in my early 30s, and so you and I have both seen technology be not a huge part of our lives. Like, I have clear memory when I graduated high school, right? I think I'm younger than you, right?
Yeah, probably a couple
Yeah.
of years, I think.
Yeah. So when I graduated high school, there was two people in my entire graduating class that had cell phones. Like,
Oh
it was just
yeah,
like two cell phones, and they were like the very basic, like the ultra, like the first cell phones that existed. More people had pagers than cell phones in high school,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, in high school, nobody had anything on my side. I really start to saw that happening at the college
Right.
after the high school. Yeah, and that's where I got my first cell phone share with my brother. That was just in
Yep.
case something happened,
Yeah, you counted the minutes. Yeah.
Oh yes! Oh my God! Yes, it's like it was probably the first phone à la carte where you pay for a prepaid phone.
Yeah.
So it's like you get 50 minutes for the month. It's like someone calling you. You just told them, okay, I'm gonna call you from a landline. Thank you. Click.
Yes. Right.
Good old days.
Oh
Good old.
man. Now it's so now in this observable time where we have significant memory, this whole role has popped up. So I started talking and realized that there are thousands and thousands of people, these CTOs and developers who are becoming CTOs, and no one was talking about it. Like, no one's talking about it. I went to go find a book on it. No one's talking about it. I went to go find media and different videos and content on it. No one's talking about it. So I said, well, everyone keeps asking me questions and referring people through friends to talk to me. So I said, I'll write, you know, blog
Yeah,
post about it, right?
yeah,
So then they got like several thousands of likes and shares and comments, and everybody was really talking about it and engaging with it. And so then I turned that into the book, and then the book hit #1 on Amazon, and now everybody's like talking about going from developer to CTO.
yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And I think also I remember maybe the first company I was working on, or a company of my friend. The technology and formation, the IT as we know it, was mostly under mostly under the finance people. Not
It was.
it,
Yeah.
it didn't add its own chief. It was like just a cost. Oh yeah, we need to pay for those guys that manage the computer. But now, I mean, a company without IT,
Oh my goodness.
there's not much of them. I mean, you're gonna have IT no matter what you do. Even if you own a garage, you're gonna still have a computer. People are offering system to take your appointment online, things like that. So yeah, I think it's we gotta continue to see a lot more of this role to pop in different industry that maybe didn't have that before. But yeah, definitely an interesting period.
Yeah. So you're really like cold. You live in a place that's really cold. Right? Is Canada pretty cold?
Depend of the period of the year. I mean, yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm from Montreal, so we get from -30 during the winter to +30 during the summer. So that's kind of a good place because in the winter you miss the summer, and then on the summer, for the people that really like winter sport and skiing and things like that, they miss the winter. So the spring is always really long because it's just waiting time before we get the great day. But
When
yeah.
is it good? When's the weather good there?
I would say starting in May up to September, it's really the good weather for the summertime. If you like winter and skiing, I mean, from January to end of March. I mean, even last week we had -17 on the morning when I woke up. I was like, oh my God, the spring is far.
Yeah. Is there really good places that like I've seen these pictures online of different places of Canada where They have these beautiful like mountains near a lake, and it's like really nice in the springtime. Do you know where that is? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, probably Lake Louise in British Columbia. That's kind of those photos are uh, pretty memorable. But I mean, we have this kind of place here. It's just the size of the mountain are a little bit smaller than than the one they have in British Columbia.
So you do have some really nice like nature hiking type stuff there?
Oh yeah, a lot. Because I mean, people are concentrated around Montreal, so you go 45 minutes away from Montreal, and you're gonna find yourself in the middle of the forest. I mean,
Oh,
it's funny.
really?
Oh yeah, I'm living 45 minutes from downtown when there's no traffic, which means it never happened. I'm more like an hour away from downtown Montreal, and I'm still surrounded by a bunch of farmers. And from time to time, I'm gonna cross a chicken. But there's gonna be a chicken that will cross the road where that I took to reach the highway. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really interesting for this. So if you like to be in the nature and stay more in the forest, but not having necessarily 4 hour drive to go back to Montreal, there's a lot of great place around Montreal for that.
That's kind of like where I live. So I live like probably 20, 30 minutes from the downtown, but I live in an area that's, it's got nature and it's not crazy busy as well. So it's real
Yeah.
nice.
And I don't know if you have kid or you expect to have kid, but that's also interesting for that. I really like my neighbor for that. It's pretty calm. There's a lot of kid because it's a pretty new neighbor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought about that as well. And then I was not working in Montreal when came the time to buy my place, so it was a natural choice back in those days.
Yeah. So my wife and our vacations consist of hiking. We like
Okay.
to go outdoors, nature, hiking, stuff like that. And so we're always looking for mountains and different landscapes to go to. And we've been talking for about a year about going to Canada.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna come visit you.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
would be super cool, super cool. And yes, definitely, there's a lot of good place around. I mean, from where I live, I would say probably 20 minutes from my place. There's hiking place. It's not the big mountain, but you're gonna be lost in the middle of a forest. So that depends what kind
Nice.
of things you are expecting. But yeah, during the summer, it's popular. It's really popular here as well.
Yeah. We don't expect much. We just like to go, explore. We're explorers. That's what we
Yeah, no,
do.
that's cool. That's cool.
So for you, are you a big explorer type person or?
In fact, I tend to explore, but in a different way. When I'm not working for Venzee, I'm either working on my race car or doing racing or
What?
amateur lapping. So yeah, and my wife as well. So we tend to travel, but from racetrack to racetrack during the summer.
Oh, what type of vehicle do you race?
Right now, I have a Subaru STI. So it's more lapping than racing. Meaning there's no competition. It's just a bunch of guys and there's a lot of club here, so they rent the racetrack, and we arrive, and it's just a social event. And we run our car as fast as possible, at least on the racetrack versus on the road. So
Is it like a traditional racetrack or is it like it's a set up racetrack through different terrain and areas?
Um, I mean, it's like we go to Mont Tremblant, which is probably the most known racetrack here in Quebec. It's on the mountain directly, and it's a fixed place. So it's available, but not during the winter. But some racetrack do. I do also winter lapping. So at the airport here in Mirabel. They open the racetrack during the winter for winter lapping as well. So it's like 24. That's why I bought an STI, because it's 4-wheel drive. So instead of looking at my car 3-4 months per year in my garage, I just jump on it and still race it during the winter. So
Have you ever have you gotten a drone yet? Have you gotten into that?
Yes, a little bit. I mean, I started more with the helicopter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Than drone. But I mean, for me, it's the feeling of flying a drone or an helicopter is it's pretty close. It's just that with the helicopter, yeah, with the drone as well. That today they have a drone that can do figures and things like the helicopter does. But yeah, I started with that. Like what 5 6 years ago maybe I bought a small one Elite MSR, so it's kind of a 6-inch helicopter that you can fly in house at your own, and then after that I graduated to bigger model a little bit. So yeah,
Life size version yet?
no. I did when I was pretty young. I had my glider license because
Oh,
I
nice.
did my air cadet, and in fact, it's funny because I got I got my glider license before getting my driver's license at
Oh,
16
nice.
years old. So yeah. After I came back from the camp, I finally took my course to get my driver license. But yeah, it's I mean, everything that fly interests me since I was young. In fact, everything related to science. I mean, I think it's I found out interesting. I was reading a lot about space exploration back in the 90s and things like that. And now that I am able to play with this kind of toys and fly by myself a little bit, but yeah, I jump on that. And it's just that yeah, I don't have enough time to do everything I would like to do in a weekend. But but yeah,
I just
it's
got my
fun.
first drone.
Oh yeah, oh cool. Yeah, I saw
I
the
got,
video on on the internet.
yeah, I got it's called a Mavic Pro,
Oh yeah.
and it's cool because like it can track you, so I could set it up to track me. And I was just wondering if you had ever set up the drone to track your car. Like,
Yeah, no, and I mean the thing is, let's say like 5 years ago we were seeing a guy or two with a drone at the racetrack, but now it becomes so popular that they tend to block you from doing that, because there's going to be 20 drone around the racetrack looking at the car. So yeah, it's a little bit harder now than it was back in those days. But sadly, 4 or 5 years ago there was no drone to track to track you. But I would love to do that. Does it work well?
so far it's been 4 days, and I've flown every day, and I tracked me, and I ran from it, and it followed me. But the next one, I'm getting more comfortable. I was gonna set it up to track my car and drive around the neighborhood. You know,
Oh, cool.
getting a little more bold, right? So
That's
so we get questions. People write us questions, and they ask us to have CTOs answer them, right? And so we got a question in here, and they want to know about the spaghetti code epidemic. So, what have you struggled with spaghetti code forever? What was the solution? Just what do you know? How do you feel about spaghetti code, and what sort of value can you bring to newer developers who don't want to be writing spaghetti code anymore? They want to change.
yeah, and it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. I struggle with that a lot in my through my career, and I think that helped me to understand. I won't say that I took necessarily all the best call, but I think we took a pretty good route with Venzee. But yeah, I mean, I recall that the first job I did, the system was up and running since 10 years when I joined the team. So you can imagine of how much spaghetti code there was there. And for me, I mean, the management need to be really aware of that and aware of the impact of that. And that's where it's not always easy, I think, as a developer, to when you speak to a non-technical person, to make sure they understand, okay, but the fact that you asked me to do that feature in 2 weeks when I told you it will take 3, there's going to be impact after that. And if there's if the metric that you follow, let's say, are not the good one. Let's say you don't track the number of code, and it's not the number of open bug, and it's not something that you follow on a sprint basis. It will be hard to see those impact of because sometimes what the business people will see is, oh, great, finally, at least I'm glad that I pushed for 2 weeks because they delivered in 2 weeks. If I would have agreed with 3, they would have taken 3. But there's a reason why you take 3 weeks to do the work instead of 2. It's due to the quality. So for me, I am probably the biggest guardian of the quality and the code. And I think that is the role of the CTO. I mean, if the CTO is not able to listen to his development team and make sure that the business or product team put period to fix the bug in the planning, because that's also one of our a good way to manage that is we're going to put what we call the bug bash within a sprint. So it's like, okay, that team for this sprint, they are dedicated to fix bug. And that's it, because we added a bunch of feature that's been 3 months and you need to do your cleanup. So one of the thing that works well is really when you put that as within your routine. It's like every 2 months or every 3 months you do a bug bash, and it's part of the planning from day one, and it needs to be respected and not postponed because there's a new emergency for a new feature. If you're able to stick with that, I think that as a product manager or CTO, you'll be able to keep the quality. That said, for a new developer that want to stop doing crappy code, that's interesting. And I read your article on your blog about that. And at some point, yes, you need to find a way. And I remember using a lot the metaphor or past example to link all the information and the impact. Like, okay, you remember that story? It led to that bug. That bug, we lost 1 week to try to fix it. So the feature we were supposed to work on has been postponed. And due to that, we missed that demo with that client, or, so at some point you need to be able to enlighten the people that take the decision to make sure that, yes, they're going to let you do those bug bash. And also, one of the things I learned through Venzee really related about the quality is the mindset need to evolve. We were talking earlier about the role of a CTO that need to evolve, but I think the mindset versus the quality need to evolve as well, because it's true. At the beginning, I mean, what is the first question you ask yourself as a co-founder when you have a 6 month, 3 month, 1 years old company? Am I going to run out of money? What can I do to not run out of money? Because I want to continue to pay that developer that I just hired,
Yeah.
So the pressure is there for that. So are you going to cut the corner from time to time because you need to deliver that freaking feature to make sure that your business partner can do the demo to the potential customer? Yes, you're going to need to do that. It's just that at some point, and we kind of crossed that line last year for us, where we as a team, as a product team, as a development team, we kind of sit together and we said, okay, enough is enough. No, we're not a startup anymore. Let's make sure we are acting as a grown-up startup. And what a grown-up startup or an enterprise grade company would do, they would focus on quality. And then focus on because also, I mean, the thing is, last year we reached a maturity, okay? Just to put on context, we are disturbing the supply chain of our client, of our retailer and manufacturer. So it's not a small decision for them to integrate Venzee in their pipeline. So it took us, let's say, a bit more time versus other kind of product to really take off and make sure that we were bringing enough value and more value to the customer so they can integrate them into their supply chain. So last year we came to that discussion and that agreement that, okay, we have a good product. We have a mature enough product that the salespeople can sell it. There's not much complaint about quality or missing feature or things like that. Perfect. So it's now time to change and adjust our process in terms of development. So we switched the mindset to make sure that everything is about quality, and we embrace more the quality, and not that I won't say, it's not the right word, punishing the delay, but we would put less emphasis if a feature is delayed versus if a feature is delivered buggy. I don't know if I'm clear, but it's like the focus is really on quality. So make sure that I'm okay to work with the product management and say, okay, yes, we're going to need 1 week more to finalize that feature because we want the unit test coverage over 80, over 90%. We want to give enough time to the QA team to go through that and build the test automation as well to make sure that we release a quality feature. And so far, and to be honest, I don't think, and I may be wrong, and I would be happy to be proved wrong, but I still believe that it's not a mindset that you can totally be in when you start, because you just need to get the things done, to stay polite.
That's the tough part. This is what makes it such a muddy thing, is you kind of have to not do the best things up front to get off the ground, and then slowly break those bad habits and adapt better habits throughout the process of the startup. And then knowing when to drop what habits at what points in times based on your cash flow, that's like an art. It's like this weird dance that everyone has to do. It's not easy.
Oh, no. And I'm talking, I may sound like, oh, yes, it went easy and we came to that illumination all together, but it took some time. I mean, we had our discussion related to that. And sometimes you're like, okay, no, now we focus on quality, and boom, that big giant client came in with his crazy request, and we're like, okay, we need to stop everything, put the focus on that. But when that client is called Bed Bath and Beyond, you do whatever you need to do to
yes, you do.
to make sure to bring them bring them in, and I mean, they are super happy right now. So it's really fun. But yes, it's a dance. I like the term you use there. It's really a dance, and finding that line is hard. But at some point, there's also the growth of the team that pushed us on that direction, because at the beginning, you are 4 or 5 developer. It's easy. You are always in contact through Slack. You jump on Google Hangout for a 5-minute meeting, and you agree on the way you're gonna architect the next feature. But now that I have 3 teams that develop, I need people that oversee this. I need technical guidelines, I need design review, I need coding guidelines as well, because otherwise the design reviews start to be long, because we always bring the same comment, etc., etc. So I felt that I was driven also by the growth of the team, and the team were requesting that through request or complaint at some point, because they're like, okay, yes, we want to do quality, but we need to agree on the way we'll do the things.
Well, that's the hardest thing to do. So you would imagine I get like a lot of people that write to me from reading the article, different developers and everyone at every different state. And one of the things that comes up constantly is like, how do you define good? Like, how do you define quality? And because we were talking about how it changes all the time, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, these are some good / tough questions, right? So I actually set out and started writing about it, which is my next project that I'm working on, is answering all these questions that people reach out and ask. Like, it's really weird because you run a company, right? So your customers, they all seem to have the same questions, right? Like, I'm sure you deal with sales and you're at the beginning, so you understand that. All right, you're going to get these 7 questions like 80% of the time, and you answer them really well, and then that makes your company look professional, right? Well, these questions I get from developers, like I get the same 7 to 10 questions, but like over the course of, 3 months, I get them 1,000 times, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
so now I'm starting to answer them. And another thing I realized too is like, so with sales or marketing or graphics, like sales is sales. You from the day one, you make a sale. Like it doesn't change. But with the programming, you have to be constantly doing that dance that we were talking about, and it constantly changes, right? But sales doesn't have that. You develop the plan, you develop the pipeline, you sell the product, right? And then graphics, you make the graphic, you put the graphic out. But with the programming, you're always deciding and changing the quality and figuring it out and playing that dance. So it's definitely like a new problem that I'm picking up on that you and I both have experience with. Now it's just the art of like articulating it and putting it into words.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I agree. At some point, it's like I don't remember how many time I rewrite a coding standard. Why
Right.
don't we have a, a better or more standardized coding standard? Oh my God, that's a lot of standard. But maybe
Right.
that's the answer as well. I mean, people like to do their own things, and also, as you said, it changed. The coding standard from Angular v1 would be different from Angular v2 because TypeScript versus JavaScript, uh, etc. So it's always there's always a moving part, and in terms of the technology, I mean, it moves so fast. I mean, I feel that we have an old product now because I'm saying the front end is an Angular v1, and it's like everybody is talking about React and Angular. I think it's 6 now, the last version. And I'm like, yeah, we're still on V1. We are just 4 years old, but we're
But
pretty old now.
we have revenue though. That's the thing that you have that
Oh
others
yeah.
don't have. You have revenue.
Oh yeah. No, that's the key thing, and that's where at some point you need to focus on the right thing. I mean, we don't need to be on the edge of the UI technology. I mean, our client expect a fast running process in the background, but that's what we are delivering to them, and that's why we did a much more R&D on how to go serverless and how to improve our scalability capacity. Because, I mean, in average, a client that will work with us has 10,000 products. So it's 10,000 products to load and 10,000 products to transform and to transfer to another platform, sometime 2-3 times a day. So our main challenge was the data processing in the backend, not that much the UI. That doesn't mean we don't work really hard to get a great UI, but in terms of the technology behind it, I don't think our user or anybody would really see that we move. If we keep the same UI, moving from Angular 1 to Angular, the last Angular or React, it would not make that much change. So as you said, I mean, it's always a question of priority, and not get caught about just a new shiny thing that everybody's talking about. And that's sometimes it's a challenge because, I mean, everybody want to work with the last technology, with the last buzz. I mean, right now, look, we can talk about blockchain, but blockchain is just everywhere and everybody's talking about that. And, if you ask a bunch of developers what they would like to work on, but for sure that's the new shiny thing. But you need to figure out when it's the right thing to do as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to answer that one too. Like, how can I tell people when is the right time to, step out and put in a new technology? That's real. I'm going to answer that question for you. I'm going to go think about it for a couple of days. I'm going to write up a little thing and figure out how to answer that. I have another question.
Sure.
This is one I've been thinking about since we've been on the call. So it came up when we were talking about, for some reason, when I was talking about sales or helicopters or whatever. But I'll tell you a little story. So like, if you want a better body, like you go to the gym, right, and you train. If you want to become better at, lapping and racing, you train and you practice, right? You watch videos, you talk with friends, have discussions. If you have a sales team at your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yep.
way you get them better is by doing sales training. And then if you want to become better at helicopter driving, you do helicopter pilot training, right? But here's the thing I've been thinking about since we started talking. What we don't train developers. Like we teach developers how to develop in code schools, but like I've never seen a training thing to like continuous education for developers to keep learning about being better developers. Like I'm just now thinking about it. Have you seen anything like that?
But it's interesting because it's one of the things I'm trying to keep in Venzee, and making sure that, we started some time ago to do webinar, where you have just people presenting a new technology. I'm trying to bring that to another level where also people present the work they did, the R&D they did sometime on their side time, because a bunch of people have also side project. You're a geek or you're not. So
Right.
What you don't do when you don't program for living, you program for fun. So
Yep.
so you ran into a bunch of new technology there, and it's something I'm trying to put a lot of emphasis on specifically this year. I was talking about moving to a quality mode. It's also quality in terms of making sure that the people I'm working on get better. So yes, we have training allowance, but it's not just about saying to the people, hey, yeah, you can claim $1,000 per year to go to a training. If you don't put the right context, I feel that it's really hard to achieve. And I mean, probably I don't have the exact statistic, but probably that 80% of the people won't use it. So you need to put emphasis on that, to put creative period. So one of the idea I'm working on right now is to make sure that those webinars, they are not necessarily just used by people to present, but that could be just, hey guys, we just bought a course about, I don't know, it could be blockchain, could be serverless on Udemy. That 2 hours you have in your calendar this Friday, every sprint, take that Friday and spend some time to learn, and let's regroup next sprint and talk about the experience we did and the research we research and answer that we get. So I totally agree with you. It's hard, and I saw developer as well in my career that just stop learning after getting out of college, and it's like if the world will never change and they will continue to work on the same technology for the next 20, 30, 40 years until you reach your retirement. No, that's if you want to stay a good coder, it's not the way things work. But yeah, it's true. I feel that as there's course out there, but training to become a good developer, I think the business has a lot to do on that. I'm working with a lot of different people, working with some freelancer that never worked on a big enterprise at first. And one of the comments I had from one of the last guy I've hired is, wow, the level of communication in your company is pretty high. And I was like, yes, I mean, we're following Scrum, so we have daily Scrum and everything. Yeah, but you're really doing Scrum. And I mean, you're really talking and making sure that everybody understands what's going on and so on. It's kind of very cool, because this guy was more used to receive a feature and say, here's a sprint planning, see you back in 2 weeks. And then hopefully you'll be able to merge that and everything will continue to work. So that evolution of changing the mind, I feel that it's if as a CTO we don't put that in as a high priority, it will be hard, because as you said, it's not like, oh yeah, there's a course to become a better driver. There's ads everywhere during, at least here during the winter. There's a bunch of people that build company around how to become a good driver on the snow, or a safe driver at least on snow. But yeah, as a developer, you need to stay there, to stay on the edge if you want to continue to have a great career and evolve in your role as well.
Yeah, I think Jake, what do you think? I'm talking to Jake real quick. Jake, do you think? I think we might do that. I think we might. Yeah, we're gonna make some pilot videos this week. Does that sound like a fun project, Jake? We got the drone. We can include the drone in the videos. Yeah, we're gonna make some pilot. You inspired me, Marco, and well, you and the thousands of people who always ask me for help. I think we should make some. I think we should make some little, not necessarily about like code and blockchain, but like more like a fresh perspective of like dry principles, or how to answer the question like what is good code, or what was the other one I said I was gonna answer for you. I wrote it down somewhere, but there was another one that we said. But like
Yeah.
I wrote it down somewhere, but oh yeah. Oh, now I'm really interested in learning about what that one was. Oh, when is the right time to
Yeah.
to do new features? Like that's a video. That's like a training thing. Like we could take that information and put that in a video and then send it out, and then now development teams all over the earth will be able to answer that question.
Yeah, because I don't think it's a question that have only one answer. I mean, it's
Exactly.
the context is so different, and the context. I lived in Venzee. Yes, we figured out our answer, but yeah, I would be definitely interested to hear about other folks out there and how they manage that challenge, and also hear from the folks that fell into that, because I mean,
Of
there's a
course.
website that I don't recall dedicated to the failure, and I mean, we see that some team that just never end up their R&D period, so they kind of use all their funds to figure out the best architecture, and they end up their life in the architecture, but there was no product on top of that. So because yeah, I mean, that's clearly a pitfall when you're a geek, and I was talking about the last shiny thing. If you always run after that shiny thing, you may that may become a pitfall at some point.
Oh, that is well, I guarantee you there's a couple thousand people listening that is like, yeah, no, who did we talk to last week? We talked to a guy who had a parking startup, like they dealt with parking cars and things like that. And they had an app, and he said that, they had customers, they had cash flow and everything, but for some reason he was just busy upgrading the systems, and the company ended up failing because he instead of getting new customers, they just went out and they got some customers, and then they focused all their time on just moving from one platform to another to improve, but like it didn't bring any value, and then the business didn't work. They
Yeah,
chased a
I know.
shiny thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an example, and I mean, I feel there's a way to manage, that upgrade, and there's mechanism that you can put in place. I'm our growth was pretty slow at the beginning, so being able to see the things coming, uh, sometimes it was pretty obvious, before a server start crashing, but it start to go slow, and then you start to hear complaint about the user. If you don't act, that's at the end you're going to have a crashing platform, and that's where you're going to lose user. If it's just about, okay, some slowness, but make sure you start acting as fast as possible. Make sure you have performance testing automated that you can run at any time, and you measure that change in performance. But yeah, it's not an exact science, definitely not.
Is with Angular version 1, are they still releasing updates on it, or they completely abandon it?
Sorry, update on?
On Angular version 1 that you're on, do
Mm-hmm.
they keep updating version 1, or do they completely abandon it?
No, I think it's maybe if they find a security breach somewhere, they'll do an update. But I think no, it's pretty much stopped at this point.
Excellent. All right, that helps me a lot. So of course they'll release security patches, but I mean, same with pretty much anything. I was just curious about like if there's subgroups of people who take over the project and they're like, no, we want Angular 1 to continue. Right. I'm sure there's a GitHub project somewhere of someone who couldn't let it go.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna see a fork at some point of people that don't want to let it go. But
awesome.
but
Hey,
yeah,
Marco,
at least it's super stable right now. So yeah.
if people want to find out more about you, how would they do that?
I think LinkedIn, it's the best way to reach me for people that are not necessarily in contact right now. You can look for Venzee, and then I'm part of the founder there. Angel.co as well. We have our profile there, and it's to be honest, it's one of our main hiring pipeline, Angel.co. So yeah, that's really easy to reach me.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn and Angel.co. I don't know if you're familiar.
Joel.co.
Angel.
Nope.
Yeah, it's more a website for investor at the beginning. It started for like proposing your business plan a little bit and then getting contact with investor, but it kind of evolved into a pretty interesting platform now, and you can put the job post there, and people gonna apply through directly through the website, and they even implemented a Kanban board to follow up on your hiring process. So no, it's a pretty interesting one.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll check that out. Awesome. Thank you so much, Marco, for hanging out and talking with me today.
Hey, thank you too. That was super great.
Yeah, I don't even know how to tell you how we end the call, because it's usually all based around Zencaster. I do this whole thing with like ending the call, but and then like audio has to upload and all this stuff. But we're not doing it this time. We're just doing a recorded Skype call. So we have about a 10 to 15 day delay before the podcast will release. But you should definitely get some people reaching out to you. Each episode gets around 33,000 listens. So
Wow.
people, they listen about just under 1 million minutes per episode, right? Because they're listening 33,000 times a half hour. Yeah. So that's what we expect for our stats on the podcast. And then it's all, mostly CTOs and lead developers, things like that. So you brought them value. You brought so much value today, man.
Hey, but thanks. No, I mean that's always my goal. It's it's a small world, and if we don't share our best practice, how we will improve at some point. I mean, we need to learn from each other. So when I can give back based on, if I can avoid a mistake that I did to someone else, but I'll be happy. Hopefully
that's what
someone
it's all about.
Exactly. And at some point, hopefully someone will help me avoid mistake that they did.
Yeah, each one teach one. Everyone's just kind of helping each other out in life.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Marco.
Hey, thank you too.
All right. Talk soon, buddy.
Yes. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.